Heil and welcome to lesson 17 on how to calculate in chess. This time we're going to look at broad and careful calculation as opposed to deep calculation. First of all, let me tell you a little secret. Don't be misled by the title of this lesson, since it is really old wine in new bottles. All this lesson is basically about is again finding candidate moves and doing falsification. I have come to the conclusion that that is what calculation boils down to over and over again. But since it is so important, I want to highlight it again from a slightly different angle. I don't know why, but many of us chess players tend to calculate deep instead of broad, or deeply instead of broadly. Well, maybe I do know why. It is because we never learned to think properly, and now is the time to unlearn. Anyway, we like to calculate deep because maybe it gives us the sense that we are strong players, and sometimes we feel it is necessary. However, if you can't calculate broad, you will not benefit from your ability to calculate deeply either. It's like with that saying, if you can't appreciate the small things in life, then you're not worth the bigger things either. Now we can compare calculating in chess with walking the busy and maybe even dangerous streets of a town. There's traffic and maybe even gangs in certain parts of town. Suppose you know where you want to go in that town, you have a destination, just like you can have a plan or a goal in chess. Now what would you do? Would you just set out your course, cross the streets and hope to get where you want to be? I hope not. First of all, I hope you take the time to look left and then right and left again for traffic before you cross the first street. Also, I hope you will think of a detour so you don't have to go through the dangerous areas where there are gangs that will rob you, right? In other words, you will be careful. If you don't even manage to properly cross the first street, then you can forget about the whole trip, right? Now why not adopt that attitude while calculating in chess? Makes sense, right? And that's what I call broad calculation. Instead of just plunging in and calculating yourself rich to the supposed goal, an advantageous position for instance, you'd better watch left and right for your opponent's moves, and your own for that matter, before playing your first move. I know it is very difficult to take the mature approach to this, which is to always try and find the best moves for your opponent also. But in the end, this is really the best thing you can do if you want to improve your chess. It is psychologically very difficult to step into your opponent's shoes all the time and find his best moves, because you don't want to think of his plans, but your own. However, more often than not, your conclusion that you can reach an advantageous position is too good to be true, or should at least be treated with suspicion. Is your opponent really going to cooperate like this? Anyway, in this lesson, I'm going to show you a number of positions in which I will verbalize the calculation process of the player to move. Your task is to find out if something is wrong with the thought process, and if so, what is wrong. Good luck. Okay, this is position number 1. It is white to move, and white thinks, okay, I will play h2, h3. That will attack his knight on g4, so that's a very forcing move. Now, the knight can't move forward into my position because I will take it on all these black squares. So I suppose it will have to go back to either f6 or to h6, right? Now, let's calculate knight f6. Well, then he's blocking the long diagonal for his bishop on g7, and I think I can play e4, e5 there, again attacking the knight on f6. Then maybe he will play knight h5, and he will eye my weakness on g3, because my pawn is on h3